Welcome to the Reality Revealed video series, a scientific and spiritual quest for the answers to the great questions of existence. This video, the second in the Reality Revealed series, is entitled, What Really Happens When We Die? A Modern Secular Model of the Afterlife. In this presentation, I will discuss the fascinatingly detailed model of the afterlife that has emerged from the work of Michael Newton, PhD, as well as other researchers. For most of my life, I have been searching for rational, plausible answers to what I call the great questions of existence, the three most important of which are, where do we go after we die? Where do we come from before we are born? And why are we here? After decades of research, personal exploration, and contemplation, I honestly believe that I have finally found the answers I've been seeking. And what is most fascinating is that I have found the answers to all three of these questions in the same place, namely in a modern secular model of the afterlife. For most of us, our beliefs regarding the afterlife, if we believe in one at all, are an outgrowth of our religious convictions and upbringing. And these convictions, while sharing some basic tenets, can vary dramatically from one religion to the next, or even among sub-factions within a single religious system. One thing that most religious belief systems do have in common is the claim that what awaits us after death is either an eternity of unimaginable bliss in heaven or an eternity of unimaginable suffering in hell. What is particularly noteworthy is that the various religions offer no proof whatsoever that the afterlife is what they claim it to be. Religious adherents are asked to accept unsubstantiated claims regarding the afterlife on faith alone. Mainstream science, on the other hand, completely denies the existence of an afterlife, as well as its necessary precursor, the soul. Amazingly, science follows religion's practice by offering no proof whatsoever of its contention that the possibility of an afterlife is simple fantasy. Thus we are left with two choices regarding an understanding of the afterlife: science's empty and unsupported claim that there is no afterlife, or religion's vague and unsupported claim of a heaven-hell scenario, neither of which is particularly comforting or convincing, and neither of which offers any evidence whatsoever in support of its assertions. But thankfully, we are now no longer limited to only these two bleak and uncorroborated theories regarding an afterlife, for in recent years there has emerged a new model of the afterlife, one that presents a surprisingly detailed body of knowledge supported by voluminous and compelling evidence, and which derives from sources other than religion, speculation, or myth. This more modern model of the hereafter provides an amazingly elaborate description of the afterlife's structure, function, and process. The startling truth suggested by this new evidence is that there actually is an afterlife, and we actually know something concrete and specific about it. A note regarding source material. Throughout this talk, I will sometimes make reference to what I call the Newton model of the afterlife. I decided to attribute the spirit realm model to Dr. Newton for three reasons. 1. He, more than any other researcher in this field, at least to my knowledge, has painstakingly and laboriously sifted through a huge amount of disparate data extracted from reams of transcribed recorded hypnosis sessions, and meticulously organized and assembled it all into a coherent, meaningful, and usable model of the afterlife. 2. His model is a masterwork of systemization, structure, assessment, and classification. And 3. His presentation of the fruits of his labor, specifically in his books Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls, is as forthright, clear, and concise an exposition as one could hope for. There are, however, other researchers who have also explored the spirit realm, many also via regressive hypnosis, and have published the results of their findings. Their reports are fascinating in their own right, and their findings both confirm and expand upon the findings of Dr. Newton. For those reasons, I consider their work to also be of tremendous value and interest, as they provide an important contribution to the field of life between lives research. So please realize that, while I am referring to this model of the spirit realm as the Newton model, and while I am drawing much of my information from Dr. Newton's books, I am nevertheless utilizing other sources in addition to Dr. Newton's work, and those sources do in very large measure agree with and confirm Dr. Newton's findings and model. I have also drawn information from the vast wealth of near-death experience literature. And finally, I've relied heavily upon my own hypnosis sessions involving past life regression and life between lives regression. The foundation of the afterlife model: reincarnation and karma. Both our physical lives as earthly beings and our spirit lives as eternal souls are guided and influenced by a system that is grounded in the concepts of karma and reincarnation. Reincarnation refers to the belief that upon biological death, the human soul leaves the deceased body and is later born anew in another physical body. Karma is a universal law of cause and effect whereby our acts and deeds in a given lifetime become determining factors of the circumstances and events experienced by us in future lives. The reincarnation karma system is one in which a soul experiences a cycle of recurring lives for the purposes of learning and balance as part of a process of spiritual evolution and perfection. According to this system, the setting and circumstances of each subsequent life are especially designed to afford us the opportunities we need to address areas in which we are spiritually lacking. As we learn our lessons and deal with our challenges positively, we balance our negative karma and evolve spiritually. It is extremely important to note that the reincarnation karma system is not a system of judgment or punishment, but rather one of learning through experience. The spirit realm, or life between lives, serves as the classroom aspect of this learning system, where we review our actions and decisions from past lives and evaluate the areas where we are strong and where we are weak. We then plan earthly lives that are specifically designed to allow us the opportunities to address those weak areas. Earth serves as the laboratory aspect of the learning system. Our physical lifetimes represent the practical or hands-on portion of our spiritual education, where we get to face challenges which test our mastery of the spiritual values we are seeking to develop. An overview of the afterlife model. As previously noted, the spirit realm is the place we come from before we're born, and it is the place we go to after we die. It is, as Michael Newton calls it, our life between lives. The spirit realm is where we A. review our past lives with a focus on our karmic successes and failures, and B. plan our future lives so as to have opportunities to address karmic issues that are as yet unresolved. Let me begin by first presenting a broad overview of the design and features of the spirit realm that enable us, as souls, to conduct our life review and life planning. Then, after this brief overview, I will discuss these features of the afterlife in greater detail. Some of the key aspects of the spirit realm that help us accomplish our spiritual goals are the following. Soul groups. We each belong to a soul group consisting of, on average, about 15 souls. As souls, we study with our fellow group members, analyzing our past lives and preparing for our future lives. During incarnations in the flesh, soul group members will usually, but not always, live lives together marked by very close acquaintanceship, as siblings or best friends, for example. Soulmates. Our soulmates are souls from our soul group with whom we feel especially bonded and who play important roles in our earthly lives. Our primary soulmate is our eternal partner, who brightens and enhances our existence immeasurably, and who is often in our earth lives in a very close and supportive role, such as our spouse, sibling, or dearest friend. Schools and libraries. These places of learning in the spirit realm enable souls to study and review their past lives, again with specific focus on karmic aspects, and decide what karmic issues need to be addressed in future lives, and in what ways these issues can best be addressed. Spirit guides. Each soul has at least one spirit guide, an advanced soul who acts as a mentor, teacher, advisor, and guardian. These guides play a crucial role in our spiritual evolution and development. They assist, support, direct, motivate, encourage, and instruct us. They are our coaches, trainers, and so much more. The Council of Elders. This is a panel of very advanced souls possessing great wisdom and experience who review our past lives with us and also help us plan our future lives. Sometimes mistakenly thought of as a tribunal of judges, they actually neither judge nor condemn us. Ultimately, each soul judges itself. The council's role appears to be that of providing expert analysis, evaluation, and guidance. The place of life selection. This is a place where we can view, experience, and evaluate the options available to us for our next life in the flesh. Amazingly, we have quite a lot of input in choosing both who we will be in our next life, as well as what the circumstances of that life will be. These choices are made, of course, based upon the karmic issues we are planning to address in the upcoming life. Will we be born female or male, to a wealthy family or a poor one, physically handicapped or healthy? Will we possess a special talent? The choices we make here are in accordance with the karmic issues we identified and the plans we made as a result of the studies and learning conducted in the schools and libraries, as well as the meetings, consultations, and discussions held with our soul group members, spirit guides, and council members. It all comes together here. If we learned well and planned effectively, then we will make a life selection that affords us an excellent opportunity to make some serious karmic progress. A more in-depth look at the afterlife model. Now that you have an idea of some of the characteristics of the spirit realm, as well as the functions they serve, I'd like to put the pieces together by describing, in very condensed form, a general representation of a soul's experience from the moment of arrival in the spirit realm, after just completing a lifetime on Earth, up to the moment just before it returns to Earth for a subsequent lifetime. As we follow the soul's movements and activities throughout the spirit realm, I will take the opportunity at various points of interest to expand upon some of the key aspects noted in the overview discussed previously. I will also occasionally intersperse relevant portions of my own life between lives hypnosis session. Crossing over. Access to the spirit realm during a life between lives hypnosis session typically involves having the subject go to a past lifetime and then moving him or her to the moment of death in that lifetime. As the subject crosses over, the episode they describe is remarkably similar to that of a near-death experience, including the out-of-body experience, an inability to communicate with those still living, a sensation of being pulled away from the scene, an absence of fear, and a bright white light at the far end of a tunnel of darkness. The tunnel effect appears to depict a gateway leading from physical existence to the spirit realm. During my hypnosis session, I first experienced myself floating through the sky among clouds, and then shortly after being surrounded by a bright white fog. This cloud and fog occurrence is often reported by near-death experiencers in lieu of the more well-known tunnel experience. Arrival. Upon leaving the tunnel, or emerging from the clouds, the soul feels a strong sensation of love, peace, harmony, and the sense of being home. Some perceive buildings and/or cities, often seemingly made of ice or crystals, or pastoral scenes such as fields of flowers. Most souls are then met by a familiar soul who assists them with the transition from physical life to the afterlife. This welcoming soul is usually a spirit guide or soulmate, or a deceased close relative or friend. At this point in my life between lives hypnosis session, I was met by one of my spirit guides. Reunion with soul group. After the soul has sufficiently recovered from the shock and disorientation of physical death and transport to a new reality, the next step in the reacclimation process is a kind of welcome home reception, where the soul is reunited with members of its soul group and other souls of importance to them. Reuniting with familiar souls and beloved soulmates is a very comforting and uplifting experience for the newly arrived soul, and this homecoming experience is often described as having a festive quality. During my session, I described it as a party atmosphere, and feeling strong emotions, I stated, "It feels good. It really is coming home." The place of healing. After the homecoming, the soul may go to a place of healing for further readjustment to the spiritual environment. This phase, if needed, helps to cleanse the soul of unpleasant after effects or residual negative energy from the recent physical life. Our session with the spirit with our spirit guide. At this point, the soul should be fully reacclimated to its true home, and now work on karmic matters can begin. This phase is generally initiated by an in-depth counseling session with our spirit guide. This session amounts to a kind of debriefing of the life just lived, where we review our behavior, decisions, missed opportunities, etc., to include an analysis of our attendant mindsets and emotions. This phase marks the beginning of the soul's self-evaluation and helps to prepare the soul for its upcoming session with the Council of Elders. As mentioned earlier, each soul has at least one spirit guide, an advanced soul who acts as a mentor, teacher, advisor, and guardian. In the cases where a soul has two guides, one guide is the senior or primary guide, while the other is usually a junior guide in training. During my Life Between Lives hypnosis session, I learned that I had two guides. One, Kayla, who met me as I crossed over from the physical, was the junior guide. My senior guide, I was surprised to learn, was someone I know in my current life. These guides play a crucial role in our spiritual evolution and development. They assist, support, direct, motivate, encourage, and instruct us, both in the afterlife as well as during incarnations. As with all good teachers, guides do not solve our problems for us, but rather help us to solve our problems ourselves. Their individual approaches toward this end can vary and appear to be determined by the personality of the guide. In my case, my primary guide is very knowledgeable but also tough and sarcastic, whereas my junior guide is gentler and more sensitive. Our relationship with our guides is very close and often involves feelings of deep affection. We as souls do not choose our guides, but rather they choose us. The Council of Elders. A soul typically meets with its council once or twice between lives, the first time shortly after returning to the spirit realm, and then possibly once again just before beginning a new life. The council elders are highly advanced souls who are extremely knowledgeable and who possess and exemplify the qualities of discernment, sagacity, and diplomacy. These elders represent the most advanced level of being that reincarnating souls ever meet in the spirit realm. Although an even higher level entity or divine energy, referred to as the presence, is sometimes sensed by souls when they appear before their council, almost as if it is overseeing the proceedings. A council typically has 3 to 7 members, with one member seated in the center serving as moderator and primary questioner. As previously noted, the council is not a tribunal in the earth sense, and it is meant to be neither judgmental nor accusatory. The main purpose of the council is to assist the soul in reviewing and evaluating its most recent life, to include relevant factors and patterns from any and all past lives, with regard to the soul's choices and behaviors. Through objective analysis reinforced by experience and wisdom, the elders guide the soul in identifying areas requiring improvement, and then they advise the soul in making meaningful choices and plans regarding their next lifetime. The goal is spiritual development and advancement, and it is accomplished by addressing karma via the opportunities and challenges offered in physical incarnations. Our success is determined by how we employ our free will to take advantage of those opportunities and to overcome those challenges. The Council of Elders and our spirit guides thus function much like expert advisors and coaches who assist us in formulating effective plans and strategies based upon an evaluation of our past successes and failures. The elders do not direct us, they guide us. They want to hear how we feel about the progress we've made. It is a process of self-discovery in which they help us learn from our experiences and then apply that learning when making choices for and during subsequent lives. The elders are generally described as being patient, kindly, and respectful, and the soul is free to voice his or her feelings and frustrations. Souls are held accountable by the council for how they lived their recent life, but the entire process is tempered by a sense of forgiving and fairness. That being said, some souls do admit to feeling a degree of trepidation or apprehension when going before their council. In my case, during my Life Between Lives hypnosis session, I felt a bit intimidated just prior to my session with my council, and I asked my guide Kayla, who accompanied me, to stay close. Although our guides usually accompany us during our session with the council, their role is primarily passive. They may on occasion offer explanations to facilitate understanding, and they also provide moral support for the soul under their care, but on the whole, they are usually a quiet presence in the background. For souls who are apprehensive about appearing before the council, their guide's supportive presence seems to alleviate some of their anxiety. When I asked my guide Kayla to stay close during my Life Between Lives session, my hypnotist remarked, "Sounds a little intimidating." "Oh, it is," I said. "I'm not going to face this alone." Although my guide did accompany me before the council, no further involvement on her part was apparent throughout my entire hypnosis session. Schools and libraries. After the returning soul has completed, with its spirit guide and counsel, its initial review and evaluation of its most recent incarnation, it then devotes itself to much study, contemplation, and planning at schools and libraries, usually alone or in the company of its soul group members. In these places of learning, souls study from multidimensional books that contain live pictures, wherein they can review their past actions, choices, and mistakes, as well as get glimpses of future possibilities. The souls collectively re-examine and critique, with occasional assistance from teachers, these past decisions and choices. The recurring point throughout the entire spirit realm earthly incarnation process appears to be that we as souls continually pursue spiritual perfection by means of schooling, which involves both a practical phase, physical incarnations on earth, and an abstract theoretical phase, study and contemplation in the spirit realm. The process is circular, not only in the sense of cycles of recurring lives, but also insofar as it is a repeating sequence of physical experience on earth, study and evaluation of that experience, planning of the next physical experience based upon lessons learned, application of the new plan in another physical experience, re-evaluation, revised refined planning, application of the refined plan, etc., until spiritual perfection is ultimately achieved. Thus our lives on earth represent the empirical phase of the process, where we acquire hands-on experience, while our activities in the spirit realm constitute the academic phase, where we examine the data from the field, as it were, and through study and analysis refine the design details for our next field trip. The place of life selection. At some point in this process of study, contemplation, and preparation, the unperfected soul makes the decision that the time has come to leave the spirit realm and return to the physical world for another incarnation. For reasons that I think are at this point obvious, many souls are reluctant to leave the idyllic existence in the spirit realm for the less than perfect experiences offered by an earthly incarnation. Souls have the option to choose not to incarnate, but they note that spiritual progress is much, much faster via the path of direct experience attained by living a life in a human body on earth. Souls may not be forced to incarnate, but they are encouraged to do so. When we as souls finally decide it is time to reincarnate, we pay an important visit to the place of life selection. There we are given the means to assist us in choosing the details of our next life, to include who we will be, who our parents will be, and the time, place, setting, and circumstances of our new life. Specific life options for our next incarnation are presented to us, and we evaluate those options with regard to how each scenario might help us address our karmic issues and facilitate our spiritual progress. Our evaluation may also be influenced by more subjective concerns, such as how hard or easy a particular life option might be, or simply based upon the desire to have new experiences. Also, our choices may be influenced by a desire to experience both the dark and the light aspects of life, i.e., not for the purpose of balancing past karma, but rather as an aid in our learning and understanding and an overarching pursuit of balance. Our decision is ours to make, but it is influenced by input from our guides and council elders, and also from members of our soul group. The place of life selection, also known as the Ring of Destiny, is often described as a kind of 360-degree holographic movie theater, where the soul can actually scan through selected portions of the life options offered. The soul not only is able to view the action, but can also enter into particular scenes and experience them. As one might expect, the soul is not permitted to view all moments of these lifetimes. Indeed, most portions are obscured. During my Life Between Lives hypnosis session, I re-experienced my visit to the place of life selection prior to embarking on my current lifetime, and I learned that the other life options that were presented to me were less difficult than the life I ultimately chose. I briefly lamented not having opted for an easier path, but then I was made to see that if I had chosen one of those easier lives, I would not have made the karmic and spiritual progress which I have since accomplished. I noted that this was precisely why I had chosen the most difficult option presented to me, even though I was apprehensive about facing the challenges it offered. Returning to Earth for another lifetime can be a difficult and anxiety-ridden prospect, especially when the rigors of physical existence are contrasted with the idyllically beautiful and peaceful experience of the spirit realm. Dr. Newton likens souls preparing for their return to Earth to, quote, battle-hardened veterans girding themselves for combat, unquote. One of Dr. Newton's subjects, while describing how she passes the time in her mother's womb just prior to birth, notes that it is her last opportunity for quiet contemplation because, as she so affectingly put it, when I come out, I'll be running. And so we have now come full circle, back to our starting point, the great questions of existence. Where do we go after we die? Where do we come from before we are born? And why are we here? And we now see that the Newton model, this modern secular model of the afterlife, provides very specific and precise answers to those questions. To wit, the place from which we come before we are born and to which we go after we die is the same place. It is the spirit realm, our true and eternal home. We are here to develop and perfect our soul. Through multiple lifetimes lived in a variety of circumstances, we gain wisdom and understanding by way of direct personal experience of joy and suffering. We encounter situations and face challenges that afford us opportunities to hone within our nature the qualities of love, compassion, and empathy. As we evolve spiritually, we gradually cleanse our soul of negative traits and tendencies until we have achieved spiritual purity and reunification with our Creator. And that concludes my discussion of the modern secular model of the afterlife. For a much deeper discussion of this topic and related topics, please see my book, The Afterlife and the True Nature of Reality. It is available at Amazon in both paperback and Kindle formats. And also please visit my websites for free sample chapters from the book, as well as audio files of actual recorded portions of my hypnosis session with Mira Kelly. Keep an eye out for more videos in the Reality Revealed series, which will cover other topics relating to the afterlife and the nature of reality. Thank you for listening. All the best.